What makes a brand unforgettable? In a world drowning in noise and overpromises, the winners are the ones creating experiences that people feel. No one understands that better than today's guest. For 2 decades, she's helped global icons stand out by turning intentional focus and human connection into their strongest advantage. Her luxury mindset research, the only study of its kind, proves luxury isn't about price. It's about presence, communication, and experiences that stay with people long after the moment ends. She's the author of Attention Pays and her new book, Exceptional Experiences. She's a force who's reshaped how leaders and brands earn loyalty. Please welcome the unforgettable Aussie powerhouse, Neen James. Neen James, you bloody Aussie who lives in America. I haven't seen you face to face for like 20 years. We were just
It has
talking about how I was
been
over
a
there.
minute. It was so
Yeah.
fun to have you here because you may remember when you came over and you spoke for one of my audiences. I had warned you and I was like, look, I know Aussies like don't give standing ovations, but some American audiences do, but the audience I had didn't. And if I recall correctly,
Yep.
they gave you a standing ovation, which was lovely.
They did. And I was talking to my wife Alice yesterday and talking about you and that trip to the States to Philadelphia. And I went, that was my first standing ovation.
Oh.
And the cynic in me went after it happened was like, oh, holy shit. And then I said, oh, I think they just do it for all their audiences. It's just an American
Mm.
kind of
And
thing.
National Speakers Association, whether you're in Australia or where you are, no matter where you are in the world, and I've seen this all over the world, you can be a really crappy speaker and people still give you a standing ovation. I don't know if they just feel sorry for you or if it's just, what they do or whatever. So it was fascinating to me because coming from Australia to the US, while we both speak English, there are so many cultural differences that are incredible. And the way we show praise in Australia is we expect you to do a good job. So we clap because you did your job. Like you're supposed to be a great speaker. I heard you. Well done. Yeah, you. That's it. Like I'm not going to gush all over you or give you a standing O because you did your job. In the US, they're definitely more, if they love something and they're inspired, they will be more inclined to jump to their feet, which is a lovely compliment, of course. Uh, and you deserve that one because I was in the room and I know that you deserve that standing O.
Thank you. I remember after that standing ovation, because in that was, early days of me speaking in the US 20 odd years ago. And I remember I used crook, as in if you're crook,
Yeah.
as in as if you're sick. And I got the standing ovation, yay, Jen. And then I went, any questions? And this woman goes, what's a crook? And I went, fuck, you just gave me a standing ovation. You didn't understand what I meant.
Understood it. Yeah.
Go the Aussie slang.
It is funny because there's people that I follow on Instagram that are like true Australian, kind of that more ockerish,
Yeah,
bogany kind of feel.
I'm very
And
bogan.
it always makes me giggle though, because it just doesn't translate. And so when I first moved to the US and I was speaking professionally, I would literally watch 1,000 heads in a ballroom go, huh? You could literally see from the stage, like every head go, huh? What did she just say? And in the moment, I'll be like, oh, I said this. The word for that here is this. And so it took me a minute to sometimes find the rhythm. Plus, too, as you know, within the US, there are so many nuances from one state to the next. You can go from one state to the next. It can be like moving countries in this country. And now more than ever before, it is such a unique environment from where I moved, the 20 plus years ago, moving from Sydney City to little Doylestown, Pennsylvania. It was a bit of a culture shock for me. And so we moved from, living in an apartment and a high rise and looking at the Sydney Harbour Bridge to an acre where people are like 2.4 children to every house. There's a truck and a minivan in the driveway, and people mow their lawn with like stripes in it. Like I was in suburbia. So it was a little bit of a culture shock to me. And Andy and I, my husband of nearly 36 years, we were the only childless, dogless couple in the entire neighborhood. And so there big cultural differences. And like I joke, we speak English, but culturally, Australians and Americans are so, so different. And
Right.
I explain that constantly. I was literally telling one of my healthcare clients the same thing today. So it's really interesting, the cultural differences.
I know it's crazy for two English speaking countries to be so wildly different. How did you, let's backtrack a second and we'll get into your book, I promise. What took you there and how, like that, if 20 odd years ago is 20 odd years ago, how was that? It's a courageous move to, I think it's a courageous move. And it's unsettling to just shift house to a different country and culture, even though English speaking. How was that?
Very privileged because we had the opportunity. My husband used to manage Asia Pacific for Motorola. So he was always in Asia. Most weeks he'd go Monday, come home on the weekend. And we did this for so many years. And so there was an opportunity to move to Asia. But at the time, they had just changed the visa situation and they considered me a dependent. Well, dependents couldn't work. So my husband's like, well, she doesn't play tennis and we don't have babies. So what's she going to do with herself? And so he said no to the Asian opportunity. And because we love Asia and we spend a lot of time there. And then the US found out and said, oh, you said no to Asia. Would you come to the US? And so they invited him to come across. So I closed my practice in Australia and then started from scratch. And, Jen, we didn't know anyone. I knew my realtor. I bought my cat, my husband, and I had a realtor. That was my network, right? And so the very first thing I did when I got to Doylestown was I Googled women's networks plus Doylestown. And so I found the suit. I tried to steam the creases out of it out of my suitcase. And then I rocked up to this place. I arrived way too early, like half an hour early, because it was 3 minutes from my house, but I had no idea at the time. And that's what I did. I was just like, I'm Neen, I'm new to the neighborhood. And so if I met Jen and Jen said, well, I'm a speaker and I'm really helping women who are more advanced in their career and this is what they do, I'd remember that. And then I'd meet another person and they'd say, oh, I'm a doctor. And I'd be like, oh, you need to meet my friend Jen. Jen, this is my new doctor friend. Jen, this is blah, blah. And then I would start connecting people from literally day two because I didn't know anyone. I had to build my network. And that's how I started. And so that's how I did it. I think for me, I have always walked into a room and assumed everyone wants to play with me. I've always done that. I've always had that level of confidence. And so it doesn't matter whether it's a new country or a new room. I think we can all do that. But as women, I think sometimes some women hesitate, whereas I was often the only woman. I'm 4'10" and a half. I sound like I'm 5. I'm blonde, I've got blue eyes. And so I'm very used to being underestimated my whole career, right? And I chose careers in Australia like retail, banking, telecommunications, oil. Not a lot of chicks in oil when I was there, Jen. So I think because I was so used to being underestimated and I love to prove people wrong. And so I'm like, underestimate me because that's going to be so fun for you, right? So I think for me, that confidence I can bring into a room, and I've always just kind of acted like the host or the hostess. So I want to connect people. And I think when you bring that beautiful Aussie spirit of equality to a room of people, they can't help but want to meet you, connect with you, help you. And I think I was asked by a publisher really early when I moved to the US, what were the differences between Australians and Americans? And they had asked me about writing a book on work-life balance. And I was like, oh, I don't believe in work-life balance, but I can tell you the difference is that, Aussies work hard, Jen, but they play hard.
Yeah.
Americans work hard.
They
That's all I
don't
got.
play.
So the difference is that work ethic is taught to them from when they're little. They get picked up in the dark for school on their beautiful yellow school buses. And then after school, they go to 3 different activities. They have a tutor. They spend their weekends doing multiple sports with, if they're fortunate, 2 parents that are going to try and get them to everywhere they need to go. And then they get home, they do their homework, and then they get to do it all over again. So think about this work ethic that we teach in America. And by the way, I became an American citizen, so I have dual citizenship. And so what I've always said is, I think what it's called value, Jen, is equality. We have public health, we have public education. We believe in the betterment of our community. We will do things for the safety of others because we believe in that collective, we're all in this together. That's very much about how we think as Australians, right? She'll be right,
Big
mate.
time.
That's what we believe. Yep.
Got your
In
back.
the
Totally.
US, their core value is freedom. And by that, I mean freedom of speech. You can be an absolute lunatic and say something beside me that I totally disagree with. But because of your freedom of speech, I have to listen or at least know that's your right to have a stupid opinion, even if I think you're being an idiot. They have the freedom to bear arms, all the crazy things that we don't necessarily agree with in Australia. So think about the difference. They're about the individual. We're about the collective. So the core value differences are that Australians value equality, Americans value freedom. What I've been able to do is navigate those worlds and help educate. People love Australians. It doesn't matter where you go in this world. Americans love an Australian accent. They love Australia, right? So I have the opportunity to be an ambassador for Australia and take the best of everything that I've grown up in is in my DNA, but also help educate Australians. Not every American is the white sneaker yelling, big, bold, brazen, demanding, currently narcissistic, awful, unkind, not compassionate. Like that's not the Americans I know. And I think what happens is that there's more similarities than there are differences, but I've learned to navigate those real differences.
Yeah, I love it, Neen. So I'm curious, you've always had the vibe, confidence to just go, here I am, and I'm going to naturally connect people and I'm going to create a network and all that kind of stuff across cultures, the whole bit.
Yep, sure.
We see so many women at this age who have given all to their families, all to their careers, all that kind of stuff. And the kids start leaving home going, that was great, but I'm out of here, mum. And they go, who the hell am I? And I've lost my confidence to do that stuff. Now you went in, that's why you were courageous to go into it and breach cultural differences. What do you say to a woman who's like, I don't know where to start. I've lost my confidence.
Yeah, I was just talking to one of my clients in one of the major media companies today about this very, very same topic, right? And I think it doesn't have to be some big grand thing. Like, I think you take little steps. I think women have this phenomenal superpower of intuition. And for some reason, we second guess our intuition. And so where it starts to chip away at our confidence is we think, oh, I should speak up here in this meeting. And then we don't. And then another colleague says the same thing. And you're like, damn it, that's what I was thinking. Well, why didn't I say it? But because they said it, now they're the person who is getting the recognition or the contribution that you're like, that's exactly what I was thinking. Or for some women, they speak up and another person says it maybe differently. And the other person gets the attention, not the original. And what I'm asking women to do is say, for example, if I say something and then Jen, you say something similar, but you're the one who gets the recognition or whatever, I might say, yeah, saying earlier, Jen, I think these two ideas can really build on each other. Let me add to that. Let me add color to that. Women have to be able to find their voices again. And an easier and safe way to do it is with people that you trust. See if you can speak up more amongst your family or your friendship circles so that you're testing and hearing your own voice and what it sounds like to be more assertive. Start small. It doesn't have to be some big thing. Start talking to a stranger in an elevator. Start being kinder to the person who's giving you your coffee at your local cafe. Start just hearing your voice more and more. Start to volunteer. Volunteer to do a presentation. Volunteer to serve on the boards. Volunteer to, speak at your kids' school. Like volunteer in a way that pushes you a little bit outside of what you might be comfortable with so you can then start to develop more confidence. And then you gather these small bits of evidence to go, nobody died. Okay, I'm good. Nobody died, right? I always tell my team, we're not delivering babies, we don't cure cancer. So in my world, nothing's urgent. Nothing is like nobody dies in my business, right? So as women, we have to also have more perspective about it. For some women, they're like, oh, who am I to be speaking up? Oh my gosh, I've been out of the workforce for so long. My kids are grown up. And what am I going to talk about the gaps in my resume or whatever nonsense you're telling yourself? And yet we have to think about all these skills that we have of raising families, of volunteering, of multitasking, of developing people. These are all skills that are transferable. And sometimes it helps to have someone who can advocate for you. Sometimes it helps to have a third party who can look at you and your experience and tell you how amazing you are. And sometimes we need that reminder that maybe that's a girlfriend, maybe that's a recruiter, but what we need is sometimes, that's why I think coaching is so valuable for women. I have the privilege of coaching some of the most senior women in America. And I've designed women's leadership programs for Fortune 50 companies here. And it has been fantastic to find that at the end of the day, women will always help other women. It's what we do. It's a universal language we speak.
Yeah.
So it also takes courage as a woman to say, hey, I could really use your help with this. Could you listen to me while I talk about this? Can I bounce this idea with you? Could you be a sounding board for me? Hey, I need some help here. And as you slowly hear your voice and you get feedback on that voice, or someone else can reality check it for you, Jen, it boosts your confidence.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I love that you are so Aussie under all that. Just hearing you speak.
Sure.
It's great.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't go away.
No.
My accent might be a hot mess of like mishmash of everything. Like,
Yeah.
I think that has been definitely ruined because I have to be understood here. I think we as Aussies are so fortunate. We literally have nothing to bitch about. We have public health, public education, organic food, great weather, fabulously friendly people. We literally have nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
In comparison. So
To other
any
places.
of our things
Yeah.
are like champagne problems in Australia. Champagne problems, right? Because when you think about what's happening in other parts of the world, I'm not saying it is not hard. And my heart breaks for people who choose to be farmers for a living, where they're trying to battle literally Mother Nature. So please don't think I'm trying to disregard the hard work that people put in. But I think we as a culture, as a country, look, we all started as criminals somehow, right? So we have this
We're all
incredible
imports.
we have this approach to things that we say this, like, she'll be right, mate, and we believe it. Like, we really do
There's
believe
a
it.
level of trust.
We will help each other out. Go for a walk. Everyone says hello to you. Like, it is such a beautiful part of our DNA. And no matter where you put an Aussie, they'll find each other. No matter where you are in the world, they'll hear the accent, they'll find each other. So, Jen, I'm fortunate to be Australian.
Yeah.
And I'm also fortunate to be American. Because while it is not the ideal situation currently, and regardless of people's political views listening to this, at the moment, we don't have an adult leading the country with a mindset that is really diverse. And historically, we have, right? And so I don't want people to think that's what America is right now. It's just a section of our history at this moment in time, which is very unfortunate. And, there are going to be shifts for that. But as a woman in America, as someone who looks and sounds a little different to other people, there is a level of consciousness that you have, and being very careful about language. I stand on a stage for a living. So I need to also be very careful. My clients are on both sides of the aisle, and I need to be really respectful of that.
Yeah. Love it. Well, I love how you've been able to navigate that so successfully. So
Thank
you've been over there 20 odd years now, helping
Mhm.
leaders create exceptional experiences and
Right.
being able to teach them how to add value to what they're doing within their companies.
Mhm.
What first drew you into that field? Because your new book is all about luxury. So I want to get your definition of luxury,
Sure.
and if being an Aussie has helped shape your view of what luxury is today.
Yeah, I mean, I want to also be super clear. I didn't come from luxury. Like, my mom was a single mom raising two little girls. She cleaned houses, she picked lettuce, and she sold fruit on the side of the road. But no matter how tired my mom was at the end of a busy shift, she would walk through a community garden and she would pick a flower. And she would bring that flower back. And we lived in a caravan. In America, they call it a trailer park. But she would take that flower, Jen, and she would put it in a glass. We called it a vase because we fancy.
We do vases, yeah.
Right? But my mum reminded me that we all deserve beauty, that it didn't matter about money or things. We all deserve luxury. So it's really my mum who demonstrated for me that it's not about money or things. It's about how you make people feel. And so what I've been very privileged to do is work with the CEOs of luxury and legacy brands. And I find myself doing an enormous amount of work in luxury brands. And so what I noticed about luxury brands is they do personalization and customization really well. if you look at my body of work, it's been about focus and intentional attention. And so this is really the evolution of that. Folding Time, one of my books, was how to achieve twice as much in half the amount of time. This was saying you can't manage time. That's a crazy idea, but you can't manage your attention. Then I wrote Attention Pays. Attention Pays was all about being intentional with our attention. And I've said attention is about connection. And so when we give the gift of our undivided attention, which is what luxury brands do so well, we connect. What I'm suggesting in Exceptional Experiences is you don't have to be a luxury product to provide a luxury level of service. I think luxury is about the human connection. My definition of luxury is very different to others. I think luxury as a word, Jen, is divisive. I think people think it's elitist or unapproachable, and I'm on a mission to change the narrative around that. I think it's both inclusive and exclusive. Here's what I mean by that. It's inclusive because we all deserve it every day. My mum demonstrated that as a single mum raising 2 little girls in a caravan. Mm-hmm. We all deserve luxury, whatever that is for us. But it's also exclusive because you can roll out the red carpet experience for people. The stealth message of the book, Exceptional Experiences, which is available in Australia in January, the stealth message is, how do you make people feel seen, heard, and valued? That's luxury. Luxury is how you feel. And I have the only research study of its kind in the world into luxury as a mindset. You see, my mum demonstrated to me that luxury is a mindset, and I assumed there would be research studies on that, but there wasn't, not one in the world, so I commissioned my own. And we discovered there's not one mindset, there's 4, and the book unpacks all the different mindsets. And so luxury means different things to different people. I remember debating with a dear friend of mine. He owns half of one of the states in the US, very, very financially.
Owns half of one of the whole states?
He is very established. He is a philanthropist. He's amazing, right? And I say that a little facetiously. He's very comfortable. Let's just say that, right? And I remember him saying to me, Neen, luxury is unnecessary. And I was like, wait a second. What? How are we friends? And he said, no, it's not necessary. And I said, okay, fine. Do you have top tier status on the airlines? He said, yes. Do you have top tier status in the hotels? He said, yeah. And I said, and do you use the fast lane so that you can get somewhere and pay premium so you get there faster? And he said, yeah. And I said, So guess what his luxury is? His luxury is time.
Yeah.
So luxury as a word, I think, can get in the way of what I'm trying to achieve with the book. But I have respected in the book. For some people, it's the luxury of time. For some people, it's the luxury of being heard or seen or valued. But luxury, no matter what, we all have the opportunity to remember luxury is about experiences, not things. And that was the key finding in my research study. And so we can create a luxury experience for people in the way that we smile and use their names and be kind. And as women, we need to think about the fact that we naturally can extend kindness and compassion. And I think we can do that more in the world right now. The world needs us to assume good intent. The world needs us to use our superpower of intuition and kindness and compassion, and we need it in the world more now than we've ever needed it before. And so I think this is an opportunity for women who are further along in their career. If they're asking themselves the question, what's next? What's next is, how do you go out and make a bigger impact to be more kind, to be more compassionate, to assume good intent, to really go out and just change your little world? Maybe it's helping out the next door neighbor, or the young mother who is struggling on her own, or the elderly couple that live down the street. Perhaps it's just starting small in your community. Find your voice there, and then that has a ripple effect, I think. And so if you're a woman listening to this and you think, what's next? Start where you are. Just start where you are. Like, do you know your neighbors? Do you know the people in your community, your church, your temple, like whatever kind of communities you're a part of? And then start to see if you can flex and practice that confidence from there. See, when I moved from Sydney City to Doylestown, Pennsylvania, right, a place people haven't even heard about, I chose full immersion, Jen. I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I signed up for the Alliance Committee. I volunteered to put lights out. You name it, I signed up for it because I realized the best way to learn about America was to be in America. The best way to learn about American culture was to experience American culture. So I went to the games. I watched the sports. I did the things. I spent half of it, half the time. And I would walk into a client's event or their meeting, or I'd say to them, did you see the game last night? Do you know what kind of game it was? nothing about American sports at that point, but it was enough for people to go, and then they would talk about what was important to them. So we can do that as women. If we stop worrying about ourselves, don't make it about you, make it about the person you're standing in service of in that moment. That person will feel seen and heard and valued. That's luxury. You never know the impact you might have just by giving someone the gift of your undivided attention.
Yeah, agree. So did that show up in your study in one of the four mindsets? Tell
It certainly did. Yeah. So
us,
the four mindsets stood
tell
at a
me the
high level.
mindsets.
You can read about it more on my website in the book as well. The four luxury mindsets, which were interestingly evenly split across all four. And that was the first one is called the reluctant and removed. This is the person, Jen, who says luxury is hard. Brands don't understand me. I got no time for this. I am busy and I'm overwhelmed. So, for that person, if you want to speak their luxury language, show them how your product or service will save them time, make their life easy. That's what my luxury mindset of reluctant and removed needs to hear. The next of the luxury mindsets is the pro prioritizer. We call them pro because they look at luxury as power, meaning they use it to advance their career or reputation. They want to be aligned with brands who really value authenticity, that have been around for a while. They want to work with brands that have a societal and an environmental impact. They want to know that those brands are focused on sustainability and taking care of not just the individual, but the planet on which we live. That's how you speak the luxury language of the pro prioritizer. Talk to them about how your product or service, what's your history, your heritage, your longevity. Talk to them about the initiatives that you have to take care of people beyond just the brand, and you'll have their attention. The third of the luxury mindsets is called the confident and content. This person says, luxury, I'm good. I don't need it. But you know how they use it, Jen? They use it to create memories with people they love. So if you want to speak the luxury language of the confident content, you say, imagine you and your wife taking a photo, standing in front of the Eiffel Tower while the sparkling lights are all together. And that maybe that's going to be your holiday card this year, Jen. So if you're speaking the luxury language of the confident content, it's always about how they are creating memories for other people. And then the fourth of the luxury mindsets is called the luxury lover. This person's is luxury. Oh, yeah, I'm worth it. You get luxury and you get luxury, and let's all have luxury. They want to share luxury. They want to talk about luxury. But here's what's really fascinating. The luxury lover has a really big mouth. They're the people who are brilliant advocates for you and your brand. So if you are a business listening to this, go find the luxury lovers. They'll post about you on social media. They'll tell people at their country club. They'll tell people at the school. They are the people who, if they believe in a brand, they will share it with others. They'll advocate for you. What's also really interesting, if you want to speak the luxury language of the luxury lover, they want exclusive behind the scenes access. They want to meet the business owners. They want the chef from the restaurant to come out and say good day. They want to have that little bit of exclusivity. They want to shop in your store before the rest of the public can. They want access to the sales before everybody else. That's how you speak the luxury language. But what's interesting about all four mindsets, Jen, is they agreed on two things. Luxury is a reward for hard work. And luxury is about experiences, not things. And we see this when I work with my luxury travel clients. We know people are not pursuing the latest handbag. They're pursuing that destination that no one's been to. I'm working with the ultra high net worth clientele, the top 1% of the 1%. They want to go to a place that no one's been to before, that experience. We've got grandma who wants to take the whole family on a cruise with her, and she's going to fund it because she wants to create the memories with people that she loves. Multi-generational travel. Look at the solo woman traveler, a massive trend, and then compare that with the wellness trend. So we have solo women travelers looking for wellness opportunities. Yeah. The hospitality industry, hoteliers that I work with right now, are trying to work out, how do I appeal to this particular person? All of this to say, Jen, luxury is absolutely about the experiences you create. So while the book has the 5 luxury levers, it also has examples from manufacturers I work with, hospitals I work with, financial planners that I work with. You don't have to be a luxury product to provide a luxury level of service.
Yeah. Are the mindsets learned, Neen? Do you think it's something that we've learned? Like, does our childhood or environment shape that mindset? And can that mindset move? Did you
I
study
think
anything
two
on that?
parts to that question. I think that sometimes it's where you are. I think that's going to influence that. But this often speaks to some of the beliefs that you have. If you are a person who doesn't see the need for luxury, right, but you really value time, if I can find a way to give you your time back, save you time, then you're going to appreciate that. And that is going to, that's often where you are in your life or your career. But I think that could be quite true of certain cultures in the, on the planet in which we live. And so I think that some of that is that. Can it move? Of course. Does it move because you make more money or you get promoted? I don't think so.
Mm.
Because I'm working with some of the top luxury travel advisors in the world. And so many of them are confident and content. They're like, luxury, I'm good. I don't need luxury. And yet they've chosen a career to create memories for people because of their profession. So what they're doing is they're kind of explaining their luxury mindset is demonstrated in the work they do.
Got it. Got
Luxury
it.
lovers, you will often notice a luxury lover because they might use or wear or talk about luxury.
Sure.
And they're not doing that to show off. They're doing it because they value craftsmanship. They love the story that it was a Louis Vuitton, a boy who left home, who decided there was this gap in the market. We didn't have these trunks to travel with. So Louis Vuitton decided, I'm going to create trunks. That's how he created his whole empire, right? And so when you think about the story behind some of the brands that are important, often luxury lovers want to know the heritage. They want to know the story and they feel more connected to the brand that way. And we can all use this information because if you are a woman who is back out in the market marketing yourself, people want to know your story. They want to know how you're going to add value based on the things you've experienced in the world. So don't be scared of telling your story because that's what will also make you unique. Articulating your value in a world that shows them you can deliver value regardless of what you have achieved. Every skill you have is transferable.
Ginger, I was just thinking about how in American culture, they're better at selling themselves,
Mm-hmm.
telling their story than Aussies. Aussies
Yeah.
tend to be really quiet, and it's not even the glass ceiling. It's just I know humble's not the word, but we're just kind of like, well, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to shout it from the rooftop. It's an interesting cultural difference, I find.
I think the challenges with growing up as an Australian is because we have the tall poppy syndrome, and literally it's a syndrome where, God forbid you would talk about, doing really well in your career, or we don't talk about the car we drive, the place we send our kids to school. We don't talk about the money we make. We don't talk about politics and religion at the dinner table. And this is how many of us were raised. Obviously, I'm older than some people that might be listening to this. In the US, they will put a sticker on their car that said, my kid goes to Harvard or my kid's an honor student or what, because it's another level of showcasing their wealth and their accomplishments. So
Mm.
here, because we value in the US that you can create something out of nothing, we love the entrepreneurial spirit. We love that you can build a business, right? I had to make a big shift in talking about myself. I'll never forget when I first moved here, and then someone found out I had an MBA and they looked at my business cards and they were like, why is your MBA not on your business card? I'm just pulling out my card to see if it is now. Nope, still not. And I was like, because that is so pretentious. Why would I put my MBA on my business card? That's just awful. And what I realized is here certifications, qualifications are valued. They're a point of differentiation in a very busy, cluttered market. So it's not unusual to grab someone's business card and it has this long line of all their credentials because they're proud of that and they're not trying to dim their light or quieten down. Whereas what we do in Australia is we smush you down because like tall puppy will cut your head off, right? So I think culturally, what I love about Americans is they're not afraid to promote the great work they do. Now, that can also be cocky, it can be brazen, it can be annoying and offensive, and it's culturally very weird. And we would say not kind things about those people in Australia because it's so un-Australian. But I think Australians can learn from the way that Americans are able to promote what they do with the pride they have. There was a time when I first moved here where I was astounded at the level of patriotism. They had flags hanging from their homes. There was this beautiful, amazing pride. And I love that at sporting games. I just love that level. Now, right now, at the time of recording, it is a time in the world where there is such division and rhetoric, and it is really sad to see. And it is a time that people will write about for years to come. And that is awful. That is just the way that it is right now. But that wasn't always the case. And so, what I think Australians are very patriotic too, but we just show it differently.
Yeah.
We show it in our sport, in our humor, in the way we support people. If there is ever a flood or a fire in Australia, it's like all hands on deck. There's no question. Everyone's treated equally, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not between the haves and the have-nots. That division is not there in Australia. We're all in this together. And COVID is a good example of that. And I know Australia did it really hard and different to other parts of the country, but if someone says in authority in Australia, wear a mask for the betterment of your human beings, we go, okay, I don't like it. It's not fun, but okay, because we're about the collective. Here in the US, people are like, don't tell me to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. I'm an individual. I have rights, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, I wear a mask. But my point is there's that differences again between the collective and the individual, right? And so I think what we need to think about is there are amazing things about being Australian, things that will always be so great about our vibrancy, our friendliness, our approachability, our laid back attitude, the way we are so lazy with our language. We don't even complete full sentences. We don't even use full words for things.
We shorten everything.
We shorten your name, we shorten everything. We don't wear sunglasses, we wear sunnies. And when you explain that to Americans, they just think it's hilarious. And so I love that there are so many things that I have the privilege of also bridging those understandings and cultural awareness. But as women listening to this, what I would hope you would think about is you don't have to change countries to change what's happening in your world. It could be that you decide to change your relationships with people around you. Maybe you network outside of your existing circle. Maybe you go and try a new activity. You sign up for something you haven't done before, and that puts you outside of your comfort zone. And maybe it feels like foreigners when you meet people at a group you've never been to before. But if you start somewhere small and test your own courage, just go and then reward it and say, oh my gosh, I'm so brave. I went to this coffee club. I went to this new yoga studio. I tried it out. I met a friend. And then what that does is gives you that extra little bit of confidence so that then you can try it in bigger ways. So speak up more, volunteer more, try something new. And in the new year, as you're listening to this, challenge yourself to meet someone new or reach back out to someone you haven't talked to for a while. And then just reconnect, because it's not hard. We can make a difference in our small world, which has a ripple effect across the whole world.
Agree. So here at Present Day Wise Woman, we talk a real lot about success to significance, especially in that second part of our life. You know, we've had so much success in whatever way, and it's like, what's next? What's our legacy? How are we going to be significant? So how do you see your exceptional experiences helping women make that shift? Because it's not just about performance. We've been doing all that. The second part of our life is something different. It is about legacy and impact.
Yeah. I think when I look at personally my own journey, that exceptional experiences as part of my body of work is my legacy piece. It is the piece that I believe is the best example of what I believe in the world. It's all the systems of elevation that I teach my clients. It's all the things I personally do in the world. It is me in a book, if you can imagine it, right? The way it was designed, the way it was written, it's 100% me. The beautiful thing about publishing a book, as you know, Jen, is that becomes a piece of content you share with the world, part of your thought leadership, part of your body of work, as Pam Slim says. And so I love that that is a way to leave legacy. You should have to write a book to be significant.
No.
It could be that you're mentoring someone in your community, your church, your temple. It could be that you are volunteering for a board that has a bigger impact and is something that you're really passionate about. This point in our life, I believe that as women, if you have accomplished something, you owe it to the next generation. You owe it to your community to give back in a more significant way. And the easy ways we can do that is mentoring others, serving on boards, helping to raise funds, helping to raise awareness, leveraging the platforms we have. And so I think what happens is we don't get as stuck in the details or worried about the stuff that people more younger than us might. And so you can also be helping people shift their perspective. If you invest in mentoring some people or volunteering at a school, or if you volunteer for charities, it could be you're really passionate about the RSPCA, or you might be passionate about helping diabetes, or whatever is important to you. When my mom started to have issues with her heart, I was invited to speak for the American Heart Association as the keynote speaker. Well, very quickly, I got on the board, I raised money, I was involved in all kinds of different ways because that's important to me. And my mom is well now, and I'm really proud of her journey. But I think if you find something that already lights you up, that you can go into the world and contribute as your expertise, I think that makes a massive difference.
Yeah, agree, agree. So if you could give every woman listening something to contemplate, as in, or what would be that exceptional experience you would want them to know that they can give themselves, what would it be?
The journey that I've been on for such a long time is the power of words. We're so conscious of the words that we share with others. I speak for a living. It is literally my job to be paid, like you, Jen, to speak on a stage. So I'm very passionate about the words I use. I'm very careful about the words I use. I'm very deliberate about the choices I make, whether they're published, an email, in a speech. But I think as women, we would never say to our best friends what we sometimes say to ourselves. So if you want to really give yourself an exceptional experience, it's about being careful about the words that you say to yourself. Because if you had to write the words you say to yourself on your body, on your skin, so the whole world could see them, is that exceptional? And for many of you listening, and this is a journey that I've been on, I'm not saying I've mastered this, but I think we have these really nasty gremlins. I call mine Chip, like a chip on my shoulder. So if Chip is misbehaving and telling me things that are unnecessary, I'm just like, screw you, Chip. Like, no, that's not okay. Because I think if you want to be more exceptional in the world, you have to choose the words that you say to yourself in the same way you would choose them for a friend, for a client, for your community. So while it's not in the book anywhere, but the book, the stealth message I told you, is how do you make people feel seen, heard, and valued? And we need to do the same thing for ourselves. And Jen, we've been working hard at giving everyone else experiences, raising families, taking care of aged parents, serving their community, raising furry babies, volunteering for all the communities and the things that we're passionate about. And there comes this point where we also have to be able to quiet the noise of the voices to say, you know what, you're good. You did good. You're going to be okay. And here's how you can also make an impact in the world. So I think it's probably about the words, Jen.
Yeah, I love that so much, Neen. I'm curious, every woman carries we carry our wisdom differently.
Mm.
For you right now, being a wise woman of age, right here, right now, in today's busy world, what does it mean to be a wise woman?
I think it's an
Present and
incredible
wise woman.
privilege. I think it's a privilege to be aging in a time where we've never had access to the technology like we have today, right? We have never been able to travel like we have the ability to do today. And the fact that now your voice can be amplified across the planet because of the platforms that we have today. So I think what it means to be a wise woman today is to step back and understand the privilege that we have as women, the uniqueness that we have, the importance of the voice that we have, but to truly step back and stand in service of the world to say, okay, how do I use this privilege to advance whatever is important to you? So for me, I think I look at it as an incredible privilege to be a woman. And I love that I'm often the only chick in a room because I love being able to shift perspective, change thinking, elevate thinking. And when you speak up, that's what you do for the people around you, help them think differently. I want to be a thinking leader, not a thought leader.
Oh, I like that one, Neen.
That's a Tamsin Webster. She and I were talking about this. If you don't know the work of her, she's phenomenal. She'd be a great guest for you.
Yeah, totally.
Tamsin wrote many great books. find your red thread, say what they can't unhear. She's a message designer, change catalyst. She's phenomenal. But she
Super
and I
cool.
were having this very big conversation the other day about I want to be a thinking leader. I want to make people think differently. It's
Yeah.
important to be a thought leader, not a thought repeater, as Matt Church says.
Yeah,
But I really want to be a thinking leader. I want to make people think differently.
I love it. What is the most important thing that we haven't talked about yet, Neen, that we should talk about today?
Friend, and he often reminds me to be kind and gentle with myself. And I think that's a really good reminder for all of us because you have made it to this point in your career, and chances are you've battled illness and loss and heartbreak and forgiveness
Yeah.
and difficulty. And you've got to this point where you are this wise woman and you don't even understand the power that you have. And so I think too often we underestimate the impact that we make on other people. And so if we could all just step back and be more kind and gentle with ourselves, extend compassion and grace to ourselves, it allows us to show up in the world in such a more powerful way. Stop looking at how you look or how you sound and worrying about those kind of details and think, how am I making a contribution? How do I make this person standing in front of me right now? How do I give them the gift of my undivided attention so they feel like they're the most important person that I've ever talked to today, right? We all have that, but we have to start by being kind and gentle with ourselves first.
Love it. Neen James, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self with the wisdom that you have today,
Yeah.
what would you say to her?
I would tell her to keep going because, like, I was married at 19. So, all of the crazy self doubts that you have, I think I would say just keep going. Like, you're on the path, keep going, keep speaking up, keep being first, keep challenging things, keep, you know, questioning authority. I would say, keep doing what you're doing. And I would probably remind her that it's that speaking up, it's that courage that will be rewarded and will be able to help inspire other people as well.
I love it. It has been so good to catch up with you today and chat. You've
You too, my
so
friends.
much wisdom. I love it. What's the best ways for people to find you? Yes, your book will be available in Australia. However, we've got people who listen from Europe and Asia and North America on this pod as well. So, what's the best ways to follow you and find your book?
If you go to neenjames.com, you'll find everything you need to know, including all the international opportunities for the book. I would suggest that if you're on Instagram, I play on Instagram every day. So you can follow my adventures on Instagram, or if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, make sure you tell me it's because Jen Jefferies told you to, so that I'll be able to make the connection as well.
Cool. So everyone who, wherever you're listening to this, doesn't matter what platform and on YouTube or any of those things, look below because I will put all of Neen's links right there to make it easy for you to connect with her. Chicky, so good to see you.
You too. What a
So
privilege
proud
it
of
has
you. This is
been.
epic.
Thank
I love
you.
what you shared. It's so good. Thank
Thank
you for your
you.
time. Thank you, thank you,
So
thank you.
fun. What a privilege.